Okay. Well, welcome everyone. I am Danae Towels. I am hosting today's event on behalf of the network BICP. I serve as the Southeast Regional Director on the national board. Today's agenda, we have a welcome, why it matters, speakers bios, speaker discussion, Q&As, and a list of resources. So I'll go ahead and jump into why it matters. And Minerva, can you? Thank you. So why it matters. A list that seems to keep growing out of high profile African Americans believed to have died by suicide recently. Since we decided to put on this event, this list has actually grown from about two to now, what's that, five. So we have the nephew, Alphonse Williams, 26-year-old nephew of Venus and Serena Williams, mayor of Hyattsville, Maryland, Kevin Ward, who's only 44, Miss USA, and attorney Chesley Christ, who was 30, Walking Dead star Moses Mosley at 31, and Ian Alexander Jr., who was 26, and he's the son of actress Regina King. So the recent high-profile deaths renew emphasis on suicide prevention in the Black community. People don't like talking about anyone that would commit suicide because they don't understand why that could happen. But it happens because they feel so isolated and they think there's no way out. Suicide is not to get attention. Suicide has often been thought of as a white phenomenon in the Black culture, considering whites make up more than 70% of the total US population and have the highest rate of suicide relative to population size. It's understanding how Blacks and other people of color could think suicide is a white thing. However, when you consider youth suicide rates, the number of suicides per 100,000 individuals under 25, a different picture emerges. Self-reported suicide attempts rose nearly 80% among Black adolescents from 1991 to 2019, while the prevalence of attempts did not change significantly among those of other races and ethnicities. So, in doing our research around putting on this event, so yesterday I was actually on Instagram and I saw, I'm here in Atlanta, and our previous mayor, Keisha Lance Bottoms, she put up a post. Within the last 24 hours, I've learned of suicides of two professionally accomplished African American men in Atlanta. We often stereotype what someone with mental health issues looks and presents like, but all can be affected. So, and just this morning, I actually heard of two colleagues within our AT&T family that have completed suicide. So this conversation is definitely timely and needed. And I am honored to host this event with our two esteemed guest speakers. Today we have Shanti Das, who is an accomplished entertainment industry veteran, speaker, author, and philanthropist. Shanti worked in the entertainment business for over 25 years. As a result of extensive community work in the 2000, established her very own nonprofit, the Hip Hop Professional Foundation Incorporated. The foundation was rebranded under the name Silence the Shame Incorporated, the mental health movement that has led the way since 2016. We also have with us Dr. Herman E. Haynes Jr., who has served on the ministerial staff of Greater Piney Grove Baptist Church as staff pastor. Dr. Haynes has over 40 years of experience in counseling, supervision, and management, to include the mental health arena. Dr. Haynes is certified as a mental health first aid instructor through Mental Health First Aid USA. He serves also as co-chairman for the faith-based Mental Health Initiative, which is a multi-denominational faith-based organization committed to educating the African American community, in particular in the area of mental health. So welcome both to Shanti and Dr. Haynes.
Hello.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having us.
No problem. So, Dr. Haynes, I'd like to start with you. Can you briefly share more on your personal and professional background and why you have such a passion for raising awareness around mental health?
Yes, yes. Well, even before entering college, I guess I just had a passion and a desire to understand more about human behavior. Human behavior. So my undergraduate degree is in the area of psychology, and then I have a master's of counseling in human systems, which lean toward more toward therapeutic kinds of counseling. And then also from a seminary standpoint, I do have a pastoral counseling, a doctorate in pastoral care and counseling, and also have a second master of divinity. Uh, for one, I had someone very close to me in my family who suffered from what is included in mental illness by way of just having alcoholic drinking problem. And a lot of people don't realize that, that's part of having mental illness as well. And so besides just having a keen awareness and just knowing that I wanted to kind of understand more about human behavior, that kind of kept me being driven to learn a little bit more about how people operate in the area of human behavior. And then once I became a minister in particular, mental health, and I saw the church, the faith-based community, unfortunately, not being able to understand more about mental illness. I just had a passion to continue to help in that area in terms of exposing and making faith-based community more aware. I've worked in several mental health agencies and ran mental health groups. But again, one of my passion is to, in particular, to kind of help different faith communities understand more about mental health. So that's kind of how I got into this area, and it's just something that is not just a vocation, but it's a calling for me because I enjoy just trying to help one better understand something about mental illness and mental health. We often embrace some of the physical kinds of maladies, but sometimes it's hard to embrace some of the mental kinds of maladies. So all the different areas that come under that, and as I became a mental health first aid instructor, it was just even more enlightening as I learned more about mental health. So that's kind of how I got into that area.
Thank you so much for sharing. Ms. Doss, can you share a little bit about your background and your personal and professional experiences around advocating for mental health?
Sure. Thank you, Danae. And I bring you greetings to everyone that is joining us virtually. This is a safe place and space. And so if I say anything that may be triggering to anyone, I encourage you to just take a break. So, Danae, I grew up in Southwest Atlanta, and I got my start in the entertainment industry in the early 90s. And I had a really wonderful career. But the one thing that stands out about my childhood and upbringing was the fact that my father died by suicide when I was just 7 months old. My father was of Indian descent, my mom African American. So of course we grew up in African American culture. When my dad took his own life, we did not talk about it as a family. Um, Quite honestly, we never really talked about it. I would see my mother crying, and that was tough on us, but we didn't go to family therapy. And my sister ended up, she was 9.5 years my senior. She went to counseling for the first time when she was a freshman or sophomore in college. And so I kind of hid and buried a lot of my feelings. And so